Welcome along, everyone, to Sports Bits. Glad to have you join us for what is an off-season episode of the show. We've got transfer stories, Nations League, AFCON qualifiers, of course. All the leagues are grinding to a major halt at this point in time. So the transfer rumor mill continues to take center stage. Real Madrid leading the way as far as all the big players moving. What about Man United's takeover? We'll talk about that in a bit. What about Arsenal? Have they got Declan Rice? All of that. Nee will join us on the show for that. Let's take a break now, because when we come back, we'll let Nee get us into the biggest stories across the off-season. Welcome back to Sports Bits. It is a pleasure to have you join us, and of course it's been an interesting off-season couple of days as we are slowly getting into the pre-season mood, but of course players on break, holidays, Bahamas and all that stuff, and that leaves the journalists, the rest of Nee and co to chomp and change on the rumor mill. Talk to me, Nee. First of all, good to see you, and look, in the end, 8 months of a grueling season is over. Now it's time for players to decide their futures and make those moves, sign new contracts and all that stuff. Let's start off with, what has been an interesting story here in Nigeria, especially off the back of Nigeria qualifying for the Nations Cup 2024, I beg your pardon, in Cote d'Ivoire. Look, in the end, it was a straightforward group, right? We've qualified alongside Guinea-Bissau to the next year's tournament, but it was always expected, and it was the manner in which we did it. Obviously, we had a few stumbling blocks here and there, but eventually Guinea-Bissau qualified first. But we also, against Siera Leone, almost made the same mistake we made 2 years ago, but Iheanacho said no.
What is our playing style? What is the identity of the Super Eagles? We don't know that, and it came to fall again against Siera Leone, because we almost drew that game with the 2-0 we went up. It wasn't an impressive game.
Wasn't that the same problem we had 2 years ago in Benin, where we went up 4-0 in the first half and eventually drew that game 4-4. So can you say that is a recurrent thing? That's the Siera Leone and Nigeria thing. It's a bit of a nice rivalry beginning to build up there.
No,
because we talk about results just before you go. We talk about the playing style and finesse, how we play, identity. But that wasn't the problem with Gennaro Raw. He was giving us results, but we didn't quite have a really nice playing style. Eventually, cost us a place at the World Cup, right? So are we not going to learn the lessons now and take the results over the finesse? Okay,
now the result is not even coming under Joseph Pastore if you're going to be successful. I think we've only won 2 or 3 games under him, and we knew back then under Gennaro that we might not play entertaining football, but there's still a game pattern here that we don't get to lose this game. This team will not dominate us, but we might not play entertaining football, but we're going to get the result. And the fear factor was there when we were playing against teams. But under Pastore and under the former manager, what's his name, Austin, it was very, very obvious that opponent no longer fear the Super Eagles. They know that whenever we play the Super Eagles, we have a chance at scoring against them, and that was what happened over the weekend against Siera Leone. And there was this fear, that each time the Siera Leoneans, each time they attacked the Super Eagles, they were going to score a goal. It was always going to end up in a shot on target, against us, and it was a very, very poor performance. I don't know what's wrong with the Super Eagles, but one thing I can clearly say is that the midfield is nothing to write home about. I mean, the combinations of Iwobi, Joe Aribo, and Ndidi especially is very, very, very poor right now, and it is showing in the team. In a football game, if your midfield is not really strong, every other thing doesn't work out, and that was what happened against Siera Leone.
Talk to me about the positives. Pretty much the goalkeeper Adebayo Adele, who of course plays in Israel. Look, we've been struggling in that position for quite some time, and we need a bit of a reinforcement and upgrade, so to speak. Maduka Okoye has come in, not quite, been able to hold his place down. Ikechukwu Ezenwa has been there. He's neither here nor there, but maybe more reliable than Maduka Okoye. Talk to me about Adebayo and what you made of his performance. Over the weekend. Looked like the goals were unavoidable. And that's the most important thing for a goalkeeper. It's a team sport, and at the end of the review, what you want to see is that wasn't my fault. So I think that's a positive for him.
Definitely, and it saved us a couple of times in the game. I think the first goal was because of Kenneth Omero not being tactically aware of his opponents, you know, and I was able to beat him with pace. You know, Thiago Silva is not the fastest of defenders, but we know the way, you know, mitigate the troubles the opponent.
For a second, I thought Thiago Silva played for Nigeria, and
but then again, look at Kenneth Omero, younger than Thiago Silva, but he was not able to read the game very well. Then the second goal, I mean, it's the same thing we've been complaining about Wilfred Ndidi in the national team. You are the DM, you are the one in front of the defenders. You know, once a ball comes from the left wing, it's a job to mop up all those balls. You know, I mean, I don't know if they don't watch other players. You know, talking about Rodri, Casemiro. Casemiro does that very well. Once the ball comes from the wing, it definitely puts his body on the line. He didn't do that, and the Siera Leones were able to equalize. They almost scored, but the goalkeeper Adele was in inspired mood, you know, and say that, okay, these two, I'm not going to
right. And that's the sort of form that, you know, makes the manager recall you for the next game and say, you know, I saw what you did the last game. What about the pairing? You mentioned you weren't quite impressed with Kenneth Omero's you know, performance, but what about Semino Gojayi? It doesn't quite feel like his most natural position, isn't it? It just feels like we haven't quite found a partnership at that centre back positions. And you mentioned the midfield is not quite working, the defense is not working. That's the spine of the team, isn't it? You know, the defense, the goalkeeper, the midfield. So we've got lots of work to do between now and next year, January.
Just maybe because they don't have enough cover in midfield. That is why the defense, they're not really playing very well. I think now we have a bit of, you know, we can be relaxed regarding our fullbacks. You know, Bright Samuel Osai on the right back. There's Zaidu Sanusi on the left back. He got the assist for the third goal.
And I want to talk about him, right? What a dribble into the 18 for Iheanacho. I mean, we've always known he's not your wall beater, but he's your very stable left back. I think, you know, after years of, you know, struggling with that position, we can say we found a left back.
Definitely.
You know, that could give us, you know, good amounts of caps.
So I think the goalkeeping position, maybe it's early days, not for Adelaide to be the number one goalkeeper. Let's see when we play subsequent games to see if we can really lay claim to that number one shed. But I like the fact that it was all Amadika Koya not in the team. I think we've sorted our left back and our right back position, but the centre back pairing is what I'm looking. I don't know what's going to happen. Then our DM, I don't know. It looks like the only DM. Maybe we need to look into the Nigerian league and see if there's a defensive midfielder midfielder in the Nigerian league that can actually do the job. I mean, there's nothing stopping a player from the NPFL starting ahead of Wilfred Ndidi. I mean, it's obvious. We can see that this man is not in form right now, and if he doesn't improve, I mean, they need to drop him.
I mean, maybe you need to cut the players a bit of slack, given it's off-season players are thinking about their holidays and you know, all that stuff. So
Rodri won the player of the tournament at the UEFA Nations League.
Let's leave. let's let the poor breathe, right? Anyway, let's get away from that now. Let's touch base, of course, with Victor Osimhen, who scored 2 goals. Iheanacho scored a goal. That's the most important thing about our team. You know, we've got the attacking talents. It's just about feeding them the service and they'll do the job. But Osimhen was very frustrated a couple of matches ago in the Super Eagles. Good to see that he's back to being his happy self.
Definitely, and grabbing 2 goals. He was a standout player, not just because of the 2 goals that he scored, but he could have had a couple of assists in that game. Samuel Chukwueze, whatever he was thinking, maybe he brought a different boot from Spain to the national team, because he could have had a trick in that game, but he missed a couple of chances, you know, and not really good. I mean, so that means if Osimhen doesn't score, every other player won't score. But the goal Kelechi Iheanacho scored, I mean, if you miss that chance, definitely shouldn't come back to the.
It was what you call being put on a platter for you, right?
Exactly.
Well, of course, the game happened in Monrovia, Liberia. Of course, Nigeria qualifying to the Nations Cup 2024 in Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire, of course, have qualified, as well as Senegal, Egypt, Tunisia. All the teams are also in the traveling party to Cote d'Ivoire next year, and will be quite the event. And hopefully, Nigeria would, at the 20th time of asking, you know, win another, you know, AFCON since the last one in 2013. So looking forward to that, and congrats to the boys and of course Joseph Presero for getting the job done, which is the most important thing in the end. Right then, let's get away from that story now. Let's touch base with you know, some interesting transfer news. Let's start off with that, because it's pretty much been the talking point across you know, the off season. You know, you see fans at newspaper stands. That's what they're watching out for on the phones. You know, who's moving where. what players, been let go by the club. Let's start off with David De Gea at Man United, who released their retained list from next season. And interestingly, David De Gea wasn't on the list. The club didn't make the points to express that they're in talks with the player, and hopefully they could find a solution to the dilemma there. And we were talking off the air about, his situation, and the club have told him, look, you're going to be our goalkeeper next year as well, but we cannot guarantee that you're going to be the starter of the team. You don't quite agree with that?
Well, I don't quite agree with that, because for a goalkeeper of David De Gea's caliber, I mean, you can't tell him that we're not going to guarantee you as the number one goalkeeper.
But that's what top clubs do,
Yeah, but then again, top players don't want to hear that statement. Hey, you're coming in, you're not going to be the starter.
Is he still a top goalkeeper?
I think it's a top goalkeeper. It depends on what you're looking for in a goalkeeper. And by the way, I mean, everyone wants a goalkeeper that can play with his foot also, not just shoot the ball after goal kick, pass, start the attack. Let me say that, and he is not the best at doing that. I don't think he's even good at doing that right now. So I think that is why United fans, I understand their concern about getting a goalkeeper that can catch the ball and can also play the ball with his feet. So I think at the end of the day, if United doesn't get a goalkeeper, or if it's becoming obvious they're not going to get a goalkeeper that can do both, just maybe they will have to renew at the contract of David De Gea. Maybe reduce his contract, and I think he's going to sign.
Right.
I think he's going to sign. Or maybe we'll go to Saudi Arabia. I mean, anything is possible right now.
Yeah, definitely. Saudi Arabia with the petrodollars, of course, tapping up players from the Premier League and wherever they can find them. One of the latest players to make the move from the Premier League to Saudi Arabia. Ruben Neves, who plays for Wolves, £47 million is the agreed fee between himself, Wolves actually, and Saudi Arabian Football Club. Of course, Benzema has since moved to Saudi. Of course, Ronaldo, who was the first of the big superstars to open the floodgates, and looking forward to seeing more players go there. There's been so many names, Kante, Lukaku, all those players being mentioned and linked with the Saudi petrodollars. But that'll be great to see. Let's touch base with Arsenal now, who still haven't quite made the official bid for Declan Rice. Talk to me about that. You're an Arsenal fan. You have a bit more insights than I do, I imagine. Look, this is a player that Arsenal need, and West Ham are very insistent he will not come for cheap, right? Where's that deal now, and how far is that deal going to take before it gets done?
So the issue with Declan Rice is, other transfers that happening around him is having a domino effect, on his deal. I mean, according to a report, West Ham feels that if Real Madrid can pay 103 initial fee rising to 130, 140 for Jude Bellingham, then Declan Rice should be going, for almost the same amount. And he has 2 years left on his contract. So right now, West Ham hold all the cards. They can ask for whatever they want, and that is also have a domino effect on Moise Caicedo's move to Chelsea, because Brighton, according to a report, are also saying that if they can pay 100 million for Declan Rice, then you also can pay the same amount for Moise Caicedo. Well, it's looking likely that Arsenal are going to get Declan Rice at the end of the day. And according to,
you're not worried about Man City, who have just said they've asked about the player. How's he doing?
I don't think Man City would want to be drawn into a transfer battle for a player. I mean, for 100 million, I don't think Man City would buy Declan Rice for that amount. And I think he will come to Arsenal at the end of the day. Yeah. Because Arsenal are looking to refresh their midfield. That is what they're getting. And he'll
be guaranteed a starting 11 shirt, at Arsenal.
Is leaving. Jorginho also leaving. Granit Xhaka is leaving. All these players I mentioned, Mohamed Elneny, they are over 30.
Right.
And if you say you're building for the future, I mean,
Declan Rice is the guy to go forward with.
Over 30 players in your team. So I think Declan Rice, maybe Romeo Lavia from Southampton also will be joining him.
Of course, no more Moses Caicedo, I imagine.